While many brands are just now dipping their toes into the battery electric vehicle pool, Audi has been swimming around in it for quite a few years and is making even more waves with perhaps their most significant stride yet, this Q4 e-tron. So let's dive in for the details. The e-tron name has been floating around Audi since 2009, originally signifying both their plug-in hybrid and all-electric concept and production vehicles. But it officially became the sub-brand for their fully electric lineup with the launch of 2019's Audi e-tron SUV. Next up was the high-performance e-tron GT, and Audi has now followed that up with this entry-level 2022 Q4 e-tron crossover. Available in both regular SUV shape and Sportback flavor, we chose the Sportback. It's easily one of the best-looking BEVs yet, and while we're not generally in favor of giving up practicality for style, there isn't a lot of compromise in this electric. Based on VW's modular EV platform shared with the ID.4, there's not much about the Q4 Sportback that screams all-electric. It sure doesn't look much different from any of the other stylish European utility vehicles you see zipping down the road these days. Audi has kept a very traditional-looking face, full of grille work, only it's mostly blocked off. While all Q4s have a descending roofline, the Sportback shape means it descends much more dramatically than on the regular Q4. One thing, a rear spoiler wraps over the rear glass, creating a split see-through from the driver's seat. Another thing is innovative lighting. The Q4 e-tron's LED daytime runners are switchable between 4 different themes. Driving this Sportback e-tron feels incredibly normal, in that it doesn't really feel like a battery electric at all. Power is plentiful but not overwhelming, and both steering and braking have a very natural feel. A 201 horsepower single-motor rear-wheel drive setup is standard in the Q4 with a range of 265 miles. But the Sportback comes standard with the dual-motor Quattro all-wheel drive arrangement, outputting a combined 295 horsepower and 339 pound-feet of torque. Both share the same 82 kilowatt-hour battery. The Q4 Sportback's range is rated at 241 miles. We drove 216 using 94% of the battery capacity, putting realistic range right around 230 miles. 23 models, which are just going on sale as this test airs, will get a slight increase of range. Efficiency rating is a good 36 kilowatt hours per 100 miles. The Q4 Sportback's interior feels more spacious than you would think based on its compact coupe-styled SUV shape, with an almost Honda-like attention to detail when it comes to thoughtfully placed storage. There's a heavy use of recycled materials, which all look great. The 10-inch MMI touchscreen is oriented slightly towards the driver, mounted high in the dash, well separated from the traditional-looking hooded gauge display, which is Audi's 10-inch digital cockpit. Cargo capacity is a great 24.8 cubic feet. Folding the rear seat backs bumps it up to 53.1. A sliding gear selector works well, positioned high on a floating console-like panel. We shifted to drive and headed for our Mason-Dixon Dragway proving grounds. Like its VW ID.4 counterpart, the Q4 doesn't explode powerfully off the line as some EVs do, taking more of a measured approach to gaining speed. But our 5.8-second trip to 60 is plenty fast for an entry-level luxury utility. Power delivery stayed smooth and steady for the entire quarter mile, finishing in 14.4 seconds at 97 miles per hour. On our handling course, the Q4 Sportback really came alive, with good steering feel, minimal understeer, and mild body roll. Grip was quite impressive, encouraging us to push harder and harder with each run. It's a heavy toddler, yes, but also very responsive, solid feeling, and just a pure joy to drive with enthusiasm. Panic stops from 60 averaged a good 114 feet, And that's with drum brakes on the rear axle, believe it or not. The pedal feels soft initially, but firms up nicely as travel progresses. Pricing for the standard single-motor Q4 e-tron SUV starts right around $50,000, with the all-wheel drive Sportback starting at $59,395. As Audi continues to expand their BEV offerings, they're doing it in what we feel is the best way possible, which is keeping them very Audi-like, giving buyers of the Audi Q4 Sportback e-tron not only a highly stylish, fully electric alternative, but one that Audi fans will feel right at home in. It's hard to imagine, but there was a time when Ferrari didn't have a single V8 in its lineup. In fact, for many purists, anything but a V12 was simply unthinkable. But that all changed more than 40 years ago when Ferrari unveiled a mid-engine V8 car that would forever alter the company's future and fortunes, while displacing the V12 as the company's marquee power plant. Our Roger Mecca takes a look back at the prancing horse that enshrined the 8-cylinder in Ferrari history.
When you envision an exotic mid-engine V8 supercar, the brand that usually comes to mind is Ferrari. Technically, the company's first mid-engine V8 debuted in the lackluster 308 GT4, but that began its life wearing a Dino badge, not Ferrari. Ferrari's true V8 connection really began in 1975, when the 308 GTB was unveiled at the Paris Auto Show.
Recently, Ferrari announced that they were no longer accepting orders for their V8-powered F8 Tributo, stating that they have sold out that car for the next 2 years. And with the launch of the new SF90 hybrid V8, well, it looks like the days of the non-hybrid V8 engines at Ferrari could be coming to an end.
So it seems appropriate to spend some time with the Ferrari V8 that, for all intents and purposes, started it all. John Lyon is the owner of this stunning Euro-spec 1984 Ferrari 308 GTB QV. Like so many other enthusiasts, the 308 is a car John is obsessed over since being a kid, when his bedroom wall was plastered with its image. And since fulfilling the dream of ownership, he's had zero regrets.
It exceeds my expectations. You know, they often say, you shouldn't meet your heroes. That's not the case with this car.
Propelled by a transversely mounted 2.9-liter 32-valve V8 pushing out 240 horsepower, it takes just under 7 seconds to hit 60 on your way to 150 miles an hour. But numbers aren't everything, and the 308 is a perfect example of why more power isn't always better.
You can actually use a much higher percentage of its performance envelope. And as any true gearhead car guy will tell you, it's much more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow.
And because exotic car makers need to appeal to a wide range of buyers, just about anyone can get in a modern supercar, push the start button, put it in drive, and go. Now, that's not the case with the 308. Every aspect of this car, from shifting to turning, requires your attention, and at no point can you let the car simply drive you.
And it's because of this direct and engaging connection that the 308 feels so much more exciting and visceral than the speedometer might actually say. And it goes to show you that you don't need a 0 to 60 time of under 3 seconds or 700 horsepower to have an incredible time driving.
The gorgeous Pininfarina-styled body surrounds what is actually a relatively light 3,200-pound car. So even with the modest power, the 308 feels beautifully quick and agile, all while making a wonderful sound. Though the 5-speed open-gate gearbox doesn't like to be rushed, it's surprisingly smooth. The brakes have great feel and are nicely linear, making the overall experience even more welcoming. And no, you can't zone out like you would in something made today, but it's also not overly demanding or as exhausting as other exotics from this time period. Inside, the driving position is quite comfortable. The beautiful leather seats are supportive and visibility is excellent. And as with other older exotics, pedals are off-center and to the right, but not annoyingly so, and though the steering wheel doesn't move, the somewhat odd tilted position actually feels fine after a while. But you don't own a 308 for the interior. You get one for a special driving experience that's hard to find today.
There's no traction control, there's no stability control, there's no ABS, there's no power steering. It's a totally analog driving experience, which means the car talks to you in a way that modern cars do not.
Over its 10-year run, Ferrari made more than 12,000 308s, making it a massive sales success for the company. The GTS version, made internationally famous in Magnum PI, was especially popular, outselling the hardtop GTB by a 5-to-1 ratio. By the time 308 production ended in 1985, Ferrari and the mid-engine V8 were forever linked, all because of the incredible impact this icon left on the car world. And after spending the day behind the wheel, I can confirm that it's still making a lasting impression.
Even when prices at the pump aren't too bad, it doesn't hurt to know how simple car care can pinch pennies. Well, now that the cost per gallon is way up, Audra Fortin has some advice on how to keep the dollar signs down. It's less money at the pump and more money for your drive.
There are a lot of simple, common sense things that you ought to know about when it comes to maintaining your car and saving money at the pump. Here with us today is our online parts expert, Tom Taylor. Welcome, Tom.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here, and I'm excited to learn about some money-saving tips.
Yeah, if your fuel economy is declined by 10% and you're putting $100 worth of gas in your car every time you fill up, that's $10 you're wasting every time you fill up, and that's enough to pay for the parts you need to maintain your vehicle, to make the vehicle last longer, make it perform better. The first one is just the engine air filter. Those still, like in old cars, need to be replaced every 30,000 miles or so, depending on how dusty and how buggy your environment is. And then the old tried and true spark plugs, instead of 30,000 miles, the owner's manual may recommend 100,000 miles, and that's certainly possible. These examples here do have 100,000 miles on them. The gap isn't too far out of spec. But there's other parts that need to be replaced along with the spark plugs that may wear out sooner, and that's these boots and these seals and these springs. Those parts have replaced the spark plug wires that are on older cars, and those, like spark plug wires, those can crack over time and start arcing and causing misfires and such.
I remember 20 years ago when spark plugs used to need to be replaced every 30,000 miles. And now they've put platinum tips on them and dual tips, so they don't need to be replaced, like you said, for 100,000 miles. But from my experience, I have seen spark plugs, because of heat in the engine, that actually seized in there, which causes a whole nother set of problems for the consumer.
Another part that may not be in the owner's manual, surprisingly, it really should be there, is the oxygen sensor. Those need to be replaced typically every 60,000 miles or so, because bringing signals from the exhaust that tell the computer what the fuel-air ratio is. Do I need to add more air or add more fuel? And if those aren't working, then the computer loses track of how the engine's running. The computer can compensate for a while if one of these parts is worn out or a signal's off, but you're immediately start losing fuel economy if the computer is like ignoring a few misfires here and there and that sort of thing.
Sure, that's a cause and effect right there. You could do contamination, there's a carbon buildup, and that causes some fuel economy problems as well. And that air filter can cost you up to 10% in fuel economy.
Yeah. So one tank of gas, you've saved enough. If you stop wasting that $10, you have more than enough money to buy a new air filter.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Tom. And if you have any questions or comments, reach out to us right here at Motor Week.
The tanks are topped off, the keys are in hand for another quick spin.
The 2023 Honda Civic Type R is finally here, and we were stoked to hit Sonoma Raceway for a first drive track session in the most powerful Type R to date. Credit for that goes to the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, making a stout 315 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. Power meets the front wheels through a 6-speed manual transmission, shifting with precise weighted throws and a better rev matching system. Put together, it's incredibly competent on a road course.
The extra power in the new generation Type R out here on the track, it's appreciated, but not necessary. What's most impressive is how well it just wants to grip to the road. From the Sport Cup 2s, I believe they're optional, that we have on here, all the way down to the limited slip diff.
The new Type R felt really planted and on target during our laps. Additional cooling meant we could run the course again and again and again. The revised front suspension eliminated anti-torque steer, while those Michelin Sport Cup 2 tires provided heaps of grip. But take note, they are a dealer option, though the stock Pilot 4S's are still great and better for daily driving. This time around, the whole Type R package feels a little more mature. The exterior is still customized with additional aero and a big wing, while the interior remains wrapped in that trademark red upholstery, but nothing is really over the top. That includes the MSRP. The 2023 Honda Civic Type R starts near $44,000 with delivery, a reasonable price for what you're getting. A track-capable, street-practical 5-door hatch. And we'll have more quick spins soon.
The car world never shifts into park, so here's Stephanie Hart with this week's Motor News.
Exciting news from Toyota. A new, bigger Highlander is on the way. The Grand Highlander will launch as a stretch 3-row crossover designed for family adventures. The lone teaser image shows a Hybrid Max badge, indicating an electrified powertrain. The Grand Highlander debuts on February 8th. Also new from Japan, the Acura Integra Type S. This high-performance variant is expected to deliver over 300 horsepower from a turbocharged 4-cylinder, paired with a 6-speed manual transmission. The off-road adventure lifestyle continues to flourish. With that, Ford will offer a Black Diamond off-road package for the 2023 Bronco Sport. It comes with steel bash plates underneath and rides on all-terrain tires. And would you believe a Lamborghini for when the pavement ends? It's the 601 horsepower Huracan Storado. It's outfitted with off-road tires, lifted suspension, extra body protection, and more. For all roads, Kia is showing a refreshed Seltos compact utility. Aside from the exterior changes, the optional 1.6-liter turbo 4-cylinder will be stronger, paired with an 8-speed automatic. A new X-Line trim with special appearance upgrades will also be available. In other news, Vietnamese startup VinFast has officially exported their first batch of VF8 electric SUVs to the United States. All 999 units are expected to reach customers by the end of the year. Future exports to Canada and Europe are slated for early 2023. And that does it for this week's Motor News.
The Sportage is Kia's longest-running American nameplate, arriving in the mid-1990s before compact SUVs were really even a thing. Well, as we all know, the Kia brand has grown a lot since then, and so has the Sportage. So let's check out this 5th-gen Sportage and see how much more it offers to reel in today's savvy crossover buyers. The Sportage has grown up. That's the best way to sum up this 2023 Kia Sportage. It not only looks much larger than before, but every exterior dimension of this compact utility has indeed increased. It's more than 7 inches longer than before, with a wheelbase stretch of 3.4 inches. Height and width grow less dramatically, both by about ½ an inch. It looks more mature too, with Kia's Tiger nose grille taking on a floating design, bookended by unique daytime running lights. Hybrids come with 17-inch wheels, but these 18s are an option. That larger size allows for 39.5 cubic feet of rear cargo space, which compares favorably with many midsize utilities. Max capacity with seatbacks folded is 73.7 cubic feet. It also feels more stable too, with a ride quality that's very smooth for a small SUV. Quite comfortable as well. Some staffers declaring it was even more comfy and spacious feeling inside than Kia's midsize Sorento. Adding to the airy feel is an enormous panoramic sunroof. There's plenty of glass on the dash as well. Side-by-side 12-inch screens for instrumentation and infotainment. Just below the central screen is a panel with a mix of traditional and touch controls for climate and the radio, which in top SX Prestige trim is a Harman Kardon 8-speaker premium system. Thoughtful placement of the multiple storage nooks with USB ports for charging adds greatly to overall usability. Standard engine for the new Sportage is a 187 horsepower naturally aspirated 2.5-liter i4. But we highly recommend stepping up to this hybrid. Its combined 1.6-liter turbo i4 and 44 kilowatt electric motor are truly a best of both worlds scenario, delivering 40 additional horsepower, 80 more pound-feet of torque, and better fuel economy. Kia even gives you a tried and true 6-speed automatic transmission. On top of all that, the hybrid powertrain just feels much more responsive and allows more than 500 miles of driving on a tank of gas. Government fuel economy ratings with all-wheel drive are 38 across the board for city, highway, and combined. We got close with a 36.5 miles per gallon average on regular. The front drive version's combined rating is 43. For numbers of a different kind, it was off to Mason-Dixon Dragway. After launching strictly on battery power, the gas engine quickly kicks in. The tach sweeps past 3,000 RPM, and you can really feel some power coming on. We hit 60 in 7.7 seconds, a quite acceptable result for a mainstream compact SUV. That 6-speed transmission that we very much appreciated in daily use felt a little clunky here at the track. And this little turbo tends to sound more whiny than pleasing. But ultimately, the quarter-mile run is fairly smooth and uneventful, completed in a quite good 15.8 seconds at 90 miles per hour. Being based on Hyundai Kia's midsize N3 platform pays major dividends when it comes to handling. The hybrid adds $1,300 to a base Sportage LX, putting it at $28,585. All-wheel drive adds $1,800 more. The hybrid is only available in LX, EX, and SX Prestige trims, topping out at $37,485. A plug-in hybrid with up to 32 miles of EV range will soon join the party. The Sportage has played a major role in the Kia story from the very beginning, and it seems we're really getting to the good part of the book, where the main characters go through major transformations that impact where the story goes from here. The Chronicles of Kia are far from their conclusion, but the 2023 Kia Sportage is the plot twist we've all been waiting for, and will certainly have us anticipating what's to come next. Well, that's our show. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, for more Motor Week, including daily news updates, podcasts, and even complete episodes, cruise on over to pbs.org/motorweek. And I hope you'll join us next time. We'll take a spin in an all-new and very sporty Lexus hybrid, the RX 500H, then soar under the clouds in the all-electric Lucid Air. Till next time, I'm John Davis. We'll see you right here on Motor Week.